At Starbound, we tell stories the human way, not with artificial voices or AI slop. In the end, what's HFY without humanity? Subscribe to keep it this way. My name's Aurum. Let's begin. The universe had a perverse sense of humor, Captain Tamsin Hale decided, as another alarm screamed its death rattle through the bridge. "Hull breach, deck 11! Lieutenant Nash Calloway shouted from the helm, while toggling coolant shunts on the lower screen while he keyed in course corrections on the main console. The controls sparked and protested under his touch. The Tin Hill groaned around them, a retrofitted freighter hull straining under forces it was never designed to bear. Metal shrieked against metal in frequencies that human ears weren't meant to hear. "Make that take 12! 13! Christ, the whole aft section's coming apart!" Hale gripped her command chair as the ship bucked like a dying animal. Through the main viewport, stars wheeled in patterns that made her stomach lurch. Not the familiar constellations of home, but alien lights scattered across an unnerving, star-dusted blackness. They'd jumped blind and emerged broken, the experimental fold drive having torn them across space to deposit them here, wherever here was. "Belle, I need engines!" she barked into the comm. "You'll get engines when physics stops having a tantrum!" Chief Engineer Bellamy Cobb's voice crackled back, punctuated by what sounded like a wrench hitting something expensive. "The containment field collapsed mid-jump. We're lucky we still exist as discrete particles." "Define lucky," Nash muttered, wrestling with the helm as another section of hull plating tore free and spiraled into the dark. "Odin, damage assessment," Hale commanded. The ship's AI responded, its synthesized voice a carefully calibrated monotone designed for calm in a crisis. A wireframe projection of the ship flickered over the central console, its blue lines wavering like a heat haze and showing angry red blossoms where the hull was compromised.
Hull integrity is critical. Multiple breaches are detected across the aft section. Structural collapse is imminent. The fold drive core has experienced what I can only describe as a catastrophic success. We jumped approximately...
A pause, unusual for the AI.
Distance indeterminate. Star positions do not match any known configurations in my database.
Meaning?
We are comprehensively lost, Captain. A conclusion I derive with 99.9% certainty. The remaining 0.1% is reserved for metaphysical intervention, which I am not currently equipped to process.
Master Sergeant Akio Jin moved to the weapons console without a sound, already running diagnostics. He said nothing. He rarely did, but Hale caught the slight tightening around his eyes. Bad news, then. "Captain." Dr. Simon Cobb's voice cut through the chaos. Each word clipped and measured where his brothers had been frantic. "I'm reading multiple gravitational anomalies. Artificial signatures. We're not alone out here." Before Hale could respond, proximity alarms joined the symphony of disasters. "3 vessels on approach vector," Akio reported, his deep voice cutting through the noise. "Ship class unknown. They're fast." "How fast?" "Faster than us, even if we weren't held together by prayer and emergency sealant," Nash supplied. Hale stood, her uniform somehow immaculate despite the chaos. "Dr. Cobb, initiate first contact procedures. Odin, begin translation model construction. Nash, get us stable. Bell, still performing miracles down here. Don't rush, Art." "Sir," Simon's voice carried a note of urgency. "They're hailing us." Lord Admiral Cantus stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Sovereign's Edge, and wondered what cosmic joke had delivered this thing into his sector. The vessel on his main display looked like someone had welded cargo containers to an engine block and called it a day. Asymmetrical, bulky, with exposed conduits running along its hull like varicose veins. One entire section appeared to be held in place by magnetic clamps and what his sensors insisted was industrial adhesive. "What am I looking at?" he asked his bridge crew, his tone suggesting someone better have an answer. Designation unknown, Lord Admiral, his tactical officer reported. Mass approximately 1/3 of a standard patrol cruiser. Sensors indicate 2 competing power sources. A crude fission reactor bolted next to a dangerously overstressed fusion core. Armor plating appears to be steel composite with ceramic backing. A laugh escaped from a junior officer before he could stop himself. The sound died as Cantus turned his gaze on him, but the damage was done. Within seconds, the entire bridge crew was struggling to maintain composure. Even Cantus found his lips twitching. Steel, he repeated, savoring the absurdity. They're flying a steel can through my space.
Sir,
his science officer interrupted, and Cantus noted how she leaned forward, pupils dilated, before catching herself and resuming a professional posture.
their propulsion system. I've never seen anything like it. The residual energy signature suggests they've folded space.
Folded? Cantus moved closer to the display. Explain.
Unknown, sir, but the gravimetric distortion patterns indicate they didn't travel through space to get here. They stepped around it somehow.
Cantus considered this, then dismissed it. Whatever novel trick they'd used, their ship was still a flying scrapyard. Open a channel. Let's see what manner of scavenger has wandered into Scrike space. Captain, they're responding, Simon reported, sweat beading on his forehead as he worked with Odin to establish communication. Broadcasting prime number sequences. They're matching our carrier wave. Odin?
Analyzing their linguistic patterns,
The AI responded.
During their hail, they created a momentary network vulnerability. I am exploiting it to access their local comms chatter for supplementary data. I have a preliminary translation model, 60% confidence.
Put them through, Hale ordered, straightening her uniform. The main screen shifted to show the bridge of an alien vessel. The being at its center made Hale's breath catch. Tall, perhaps 8 feet, with skin that seemed to shift between gray and silver depending on the angle of light. His eyes held her attention. Large, solid black that reflected the bridge lights with an unmistakable intelligence behind them. I am Lord Admiral Cantus of the Scrike Imperium, the being said, Odin's translation overlaying the original speech with only a half-second delay. You have entered sovereign space without authorization in a vessel that appears to be held together by... what is that? Adhesive polymer? Snickers from the alien bridge crew. Hale kept her expression neutral.
Captain Tamsin Hale, United Earthship Tin Hill. We've experienced a navigational error. We mean no hostility and require assistance.
United Earth. Cantus leaned forward, and she caught the predatory interest in those dark eyes. A new species. How delightful. Your vessel is fascinating. Such crude construction, yet you achieved FTL travel. He paused, and she could see the gears turning. Your drive technology. It's unlike our hyperlanes. You will surrender it for assessment.
I'm afraid that's not possible.
You misunderstand. This was not a request. His tone shifted, all pretense of amusement gone. You will surrender your vessel and its technology to the Imperium. In return, your species will be granted the honor of serving as a client race. Our protection in exchange for your novel innovations.
And if we refuse?
Cantus tilted his head, a gesture that might have been surprise or amusement. Then we take it anyway, and your species learns the cost of defying the Scrike Imperium. You have 10 minutes to consider. I suggest you use them wisely. The transmission cut. The only sound was the groan of the damaged hull. "Well," Nash said, "they seem nice."
"Simon, everything you can get on them now,"
Hale ordered.
"Akio, weapon status."
2 functional point defense arrays. Main guns are offline. Torpedo tubes are fused shut.
"So we can annoy them before they vaporize us. Excellent."
She turned to the comm.
"Bell, I need options." "Options? We're flying half a ship held together by spite and good intention, and you want options?" "That's exactly what I want."
A long pause.
"Give me 20 minutes." "We have 10. "Oh, then give me 10 and prepare to be disappointed."
Hale looked at her crew, her family after 2 years of deep space testing. Nash's cocky grin didn't quite reach his eyes. His fingers moved across his console, gathering data with desperate speed. Akio stood like a statue, but she knew him well enough to recognize the micro-adjustments he was making, calculating firing solutions for weapons that barely functioned. And somewhere in the bowels of the ship, Bell was probably hitting something with a wrench and cursing in 3 languages.
"Odin,"
she said, her voice low.
"Probability of successful escape?"
Approaching 0, Captain. Their engines appear to be reactionless drives with acceleration capabilities exceeding ours by a factor of 12, even if our engines were fully operational.
"Thank you, Odin."
"You're welcome. Would you like me to calculate our probability of survival if we surrender?"
"No."
Also approaching 0, in case you were curious.
Despite everything, Hale's lips twitched.
"Your bedside manner needs work."
I'll add it to my optimization queue, right after Miracle Worker and Physicist.
The 10 minutes crawled by. On the main screen, the 3 Scrike vessels held position, patient as hunting cats. They were sleek, their hulls seamless curves with no visible weapon ports or system housings, making the Tenhill look like a child's first attempt at shipbuilding. "Captain," Simon's voice was tight. "I've been analyzing their communications. The data Odin managed to pull, this Imperium. They're vast, hundreds of client species, and the way they talk about them." He paused, choosing his words. "We're resources to them, nothing more." "Incoming transmission," Akio announced. Cantus reappeared on the screen, radiating smug certainty. "Captain Hale, your decision." Hale stood, squaring her shoulders.
"Lord Admiral Cantus, on behalf of United Earth and the Tenhill, I respectfully decline your offer. We will find our own way home."
For a moment, Cantus simply stared. Then he laughed, a sound like a glacier calving, a grating noise that Odin's translators struggled to render as laughter. "You decline." He gestured to one of his officers. "Did this scrapper just refuse the generosity of the Scrike Imperium?"
"She did, Lord Admiral."
"Fascinating." He turned back to the screen, and now Hale could see the anger beneath his amusement. "Very well. We'll take your ship in pieces then. Try not to die too quickly. I want that drive technology intact." The channel closed.
"Nash,"
Hale said.
"already on it, Cap."
His hands moved across the helm controls.
"Hang on to something. This is going to get bumpy."
The Tenhill lurched as Nash threw them into a spiraling dive, just as the first plasma bolts seared through space where they'd been. The Scrike ships accelerated instantly, closing the distance with a speed they've never before seen. "Asteroid field, 200,000 clicks," Akio reported.
"I see it."
Nash's focus narrowed to the viewport, his jaw tight and all traces of humor gone from his face.
"I buy us some time." "Do it."
The Tenhill groaned as Nash pushed the damaged engines beyond their limits. Behind them, the Scrike ships gained, their weapons lighting space with deadly accuracy. A plasma bolt clipped their starboard engine pod, sending fresh alarms screaming through the bridge. "Return fire?" Akio asked.
"Negative. Save it for when it matters."
They hit the asteroid field at full burn, Nash threading them through gaps that seemed too small to fit. The 10 Hill scraped against one massive rock, leaving a trail of hull plating, but Nash used the collision to alter their vector unpredictably. One of the Scrike ships, following too close, had to veer off to avoid the same asteroid.
"Tractor beam!"
Simon shouted.
"They've got us!"
Hale felt the ship lurch as invisible forces grabbed them, dragging them backward.
"Bell!"
She barked into the comm.
"Now would be good! 30 seconds! We don't have—"
"Captain," Akio interrupted, his voice carrying a note she'd never heard before. "The cargo module." She understood.
"Simon, can we detach it?"
"The explosive bolts should still work, but Captain, that's half our supplies."
"Do it!"
He nodded. "Detachment in 5, 4, 3.
"All hands, brace for separation!"
Hale commanded. The 10 Hill bucked as the massive cargo module tore free, directly into the path of the tractor beam. The sudden mass differential overloaded the Scrike systems for just a moment, but a moment was all Nash needed.
"And we're gone!"
He threw them into a maximum burn, using a gas giant's gravity well to slingshot them toward deep space. Behind them, the cargo module exploded as the Scrike weapons founded, creating a cloud of debris and frozen supplies. Hale watched their food, water, and medical supplies scatter and made peace with the decision. "They're pursuing," Akio reported. Everyone could see the drive signatures of the Scrike ships burning hard after them.
"Nash?"
"I've got nothing left, Cap. We were running on fumes and prayer. Now I'm not sure we got either." The Scrike ships closed. In minutes, they'd be in weapons range again.
"Bell?"
Hale said, her voice low.
"Whatever miracle you're working on—"
"Almost there. Got it! Captain, I can jump us. Maybe. Probably. 50-50 chance we don't turn into a cloud of disassociated matter."
"Do it."
"Charging the full drive. Captain, you might want to tell everyone to think happy thoughts. The containment field is more suggestion than reality right now." The Scrike ships opened fire. Plasma bolts streaked past the bridge windows. One found its mark, and Hale felt the ship shudder as another section of hull gave way.
"Bell! Jump in! Now!"
Reality twisted. For a moment that lasted eternity and no time at all, Hale experienced being in every possible position in the universe simultaneously. Then, with a sensation like being turned inside out and right side in again, they dropped back into normal space. The bridge lights flickered. Half the consoles went dark. In the sudden quiet, Hale could hear the ship's superstructure groaning ominously.
"Report,"
she managed, her voice steadier than her stomach.
"We're alive?"
Nash sounded genuinely surprised.
"Holy fuck, we're alive! Location?"
Unknown,
Odin responded.
but we appear to be in a nebula. Sensor range is severely limited. No immediate threats detected.
"And the full drive?"
A long pause from engineering. Then Bell's voice, exhausted. "It's done, Captain. Completely fried. The core emitter is molten slag. We're not jumping anywhere until I can fabricate new containment coils, and that's assuming I can figure out what went wrong without killing us all." Hale gave a slow nod. They were alive. They were hidden. For now, that would have to be enough.
"All hands, this is the captain. Secure from emergency stations. Damage control teams, priority on life support and hull integrity. We're safe for the moment."
She kept the rest to herself. They were also trapped, out of supplies, and being hunted by an empire that made their worst nightmares look optimistic. One crisis at a time. The nebula was a painter's fever dream. Vast clouds of ionized gas in purple and gold that played havoc with sensors, but provided perfect cover. The 10 Hill drifted in its depths like a wounded whale, running on minimal power while the crew worked around the clock on repairs. On day 3, the argument erupted.
We need that power for the engines!
Nash slammed his palm on the briefing room table.
Without maneuverability, we're dead. Oh yeah, but without functioning life support, we're also dead.
Bell shot back, a week's worth of stubble and engine grease making him look half feral.
And it'll happen a lot faster.
Both of you are assuming we live long enough for either to matter, Simon interjected, not looking up from his datapad. The strike data. It's worse than we thought. That got everyone's attention.
Explain,
Hale ordered. Simon looked up, and she saw the haunted expression he'd been hiding. Aurum and I have been going through the data packet from their comms. They're worse than conquerors, Captain. They're harvesters. Every species they encounter either serves or gets processed. Their entire economy runs on exploitation. Processed? Akio asked, his voice low. Resources, labor, sometimes food. The briefing room went silent. There's more, Simon continued. Aurum. The AI's blue circle pulsed.
During our first encounter, I exploited a network vulnerability and downloaded a compressed stellar survey archive and a segment of their tactical logs. It appears the Scrike have our complete specifications from their scans. More importantly, they have the space-time echo of our full drive's initial jump.
So? Nash asked. So, Bell said, understanding dawning on his face. They can trace it back. Not to Earth, but to our general region of space.
Correct,
Aurum confirmed.
Cross-referencing their sensor data with their ancient stellar archives, I believe their sensor data is sufficient to narrow the origin point of our jump to a single stellar cluster.
50 light-years is still a lot of space,
Nash pointed out. Not for an empire that's been expanding for 3,000 years, Simon countered. They'll search every system if they have to. Hale stood and walked to the viewport, staring out at the nebula's roiling clouds. Captain, Akio spoke into the silence. What are your orders? She turned back to face them. Her crew, her family, Earth's only warning.
We stop them,
she said.
With what?
Nash laughed bitterly.
Good intentions? With the one thing they don't have.
She looked at Bell.
You said the full drive is fried. Can you fix it?
The experimental core is slag. It's gone.
But Captain, I don't want you to fix it.
She moved back to the table, planting both hands on its surface.
I want you to turn what's left into a gun.
The room went silent again, but this time it was different. Electric. Dangerous. Bell's eyes widened, then narrowed as his mind raced through possibilities. Containment field generators are short, but the emitter array... If I bypass the safeties and channel the entire reactor output directly through the main navigational deflector, we could repurpose it. Could project the singularity, Simon finished, his voice hollow. Instead of containing it for travel, you'd fire it like a cannon. A cannon that would vaporize half our ship and anything and everything else in our general direction when we fired it, Bell added, but Hale could see the gears turning in his head. He was already solving the problem. It's monstrous, Simon said, his voice low.
It's survival,
Nash countered.
It doesn't matter what we call it,
Hale said.
And it's our only option. Bell, what do you need?
Industrial-grade power conduits, superconductors, structural reinforcement for the entire forward section. We'd have to cannibalize the support struts from the lower decks, and about 6 miracles. Captain, Simon stood. You're talking about building a weapon of mass destruction. This goes against everything.
Everything we stand for?
Hale met his gaze.
What we stand for is humanity, Doctor. And right now, humanity doesn't know there's a genocidal empire that just got its roadmap. We're it. We're the only warning they'll get.
But the implications...
I know the implications!
Her voice softened.
Simon, I need you to find us a target. Something military, strategic, but with minimal civilian casualties. Can you do that?
He stared at her for a long moment, then gave a slow nod.
Akio, work with Nash on tactical approaches for supply raids. We'll need to be quick, in and out before they know we're there.
Understood.
And me?
Odin asked.
What would you like me to do, Captain?
Keep us hidden and help Bell with his calculations. And Odin, start working on probability models for various targets. I want to know exactly what message we'll be sending.
Of course, though I should note that the probability of this plan succeeding is
Odin?
withholding pessimistic statistical analysis as ordered, Captain.
Despite everything, she smiled.
Dismissed, everyone. We have work to do.
The first raid almost killed them. The automated mining station sat at the nebula's edge, pulling rare minerals from a cluster of asteroids. It should have been simple. Odin had confirmed no life signs, minimal security, mostly just maintenance drones. They hadn't counted on these Scrike stationing automated defenses even on a dormant facility. Movement! Akio barked from his station as the Tin Hill approached the facility. Automated defense platforms coming online. Nash threw them into a barrel roll just as particle beams lanced through space.
So much for minimal security! Odin, you said—
I said minimal, not non-existent. The platforms were dormant and shielded from passive scans.
Helpful distinction!
Nash yanked the stick hard to port, his knuckles white. The ship's damaged superstructure screamed in protest.
Bell, we need those supplies!
Hale commanded.
Working on it!
His voice crackled over comms from the cargo bay where he'd assembled a boarding team.
Simon, tell me you've got those security codes.
Almost there. Simon's fingers moved across his console.
Odin, can you mimic the authentication sequence?
Already attempting. Their encryption is quaint.
Another particle beam scorched past the bridge window, close enough that Hale felt the heat through the transparent aluminum.
Any time now!
Nash's voice had lost its usual cockiness.
Got it!
Simon shouted.
Transmitting override codes!
The defense platforms powered down, their weapons going dark. Nash laughed, adrenaline making him giddy.
Obsolete ship, my ass!
Don't celebrate yet, Akio warned. Patrol ship on long-range sensors. 40 minutes out.
Bell, you have 30 minutes,
Hale ordered.
Roger that. Going in.
Hale watched the 3D projection of the station as Bell's team used maintenance pods to reach it. They bypassed non-essential storage, using plasma torches to slice directly into the conduit housing, loading everything they could grab. Power conduits, raw materials, industrial processors, anything that might help build their weapon. 10 minutes passed. The crew worked with a frantic, stressed silence. Then, a new alarm. The patrol ship increased speed, Akio reported. They're burning hard. 15 minutes to intercept.
Bell?
I heard! Loading the last batch now. Movement from the station, Simon called out. Mining drones are... Captain, they're moving toward Bell's team. On the screen, dozens of mining drones, each the size of a shuttle, equipped with rock-crushing mandibles and fusion cutters, converged on the boarding party. It's a trap, Akio said, his voice low. The station sent a distress signal when we overrode the platforms.
Nash, can you give them cover? With our 2 working point defense guns?
I can annoy them.
Do it. Bell, get out of there. I can't. Jensen's pod is magged to the hull, loading the superconductors. If we leave them, we're not leaving anyone.
Hale cut him off.
Nash, ramming speed.
Captain? Nash turned to stare at her.
You heard me. Put us between the drones and our people.
Nash grinned.
Now you're talking my language.
The Tin Hill surged forward, its damaged hull groaning as Nash pushed it into the path of the mining drones. The ship's point defense weapons opened up, spraying projectiles that barely scratched the industrial machines, but forced them to alter course. One drone got through, its fusion cutter reaching for Jensen's pod. Akio didn't hesitate. He redirected all power from the starboard point defense to a single concentrated burst. The drone exploded in a shower of molten metal, but the effort overloaded their gun. It exploded, taking out a section of their sensor array.
All pods aboard!
Bell announced.
Go, go, go!
Nash didn't need to be told twice. He threw them into full reverse, then spun the ship on its axis and burned hard for the nebula's depths. Behind them, the patrol ship dropped out of FTL, opening fire. Plasma bolts chased them into the cosmic clouds, but the nebula's interference scattered the targeting locks.
Did we get what we needed?
Hale asked as they slowed, deep in the nebula's protective embrace. Yeah, about 60%, Bell reported, exhaustion clear in his voice. It'll have to be enough.
Casualties?
Jensen has second-degree burns. Nothing medical can't handle. Captain, they were ready for us.
I know.
She looked at the projection, watching the patrol ship circle the nebula's edge like a shark.
They're learning.
So are we, Simon said, his voice low. He pulled up his data streams. I've been analyzing their reaction patterns. They're arrogant, but not stupid. They'll increase patrols, tighten security.
Then we hit them where they don't expect,
Nash suggested.
These supply runs are going to get us killed. Agreed,
Hale said.
Simon, have you found us a target?
He hesitated, then transferred data to the main display. Grix, it's a dead world. High mineral content, but tectonically unstable. The Skrike use it as an automated mining hub and military staging ground.
Population?
According to their public records, 0. It's all drones and automated systems. He paused, tapping at his console. But the data is incomplete. I found encrypted fragments, heavily firewalled, referencing a personnel-supported initiative on the surface. I can't crack it. It could be a temporary inspection crew, or it could be a full research garrison. There's no way to know for sure.
Military value?
It's their primary staging point for this entire sector. Destroying it would cripple their operations for years. Hale studied the data. A barren world, strategic but not inhabited, probably. It was as clean a target as they'd get.
Bell, how long until the weapon is ready?
At this rate, 2 weeks, assuming nothing else breaks and the Skrike don't find us.
You have 12 days.
Captain!
12 days, Bell. After that, they'll have traced our jump signature back to Earth space. We need to act before they can send that data back to their core worlds.
Bell was quiet for a moment. 12 days. You'll have your gun, Captain. On day 6, the Cobb brothers had their worst fight. Hale heard the shouting from 2 decks away. She found them in the forward cargo bay, now converted into a makeshift weapons lab, squared off over a workbench covered in equations. It's an abomination! Simon's face was flushed, his usual composure shattered. You're perverting everything science stands for! I'm saving our species! Bell roared back, a wrench clenched in one fist. While you're worried about philosophical purity, they're planning to turn Earth into a slave farm! There has to be another way! There is no other way! Bell slammed the wrench down, scattering data pads. You think I want this? You think I dreamed of turning my life's work into a planet killer? Then don't! And what? Let them find Earth? Let billions die because we were too moral to defend ourselves! This isn't defense! It's what? Bell stepped closer to his brother. Say it! It's what? It's wrong, Simon said, his voice low. And you know it. For a moment, Hale thought Bell might hit him. Then the engineer's shoulders sagged. Yeah, he said, his voice quiet. It's wrong. It's all kinds of wrong. But it's the only play we have. He looked up at his brother.
You found the target. You're already complicit.
I know. Simon's voice was barely a whisper.
I know, and I hate myself for it. Join the club.
Bell turned back to his workbench.
Now either help me calibrate these emitters, or get out. I've got 6 days to make sure this thing doesn't vaporize us along with him.
Simon stood there for a long moment, then picked up a data pad.
The flux stabilizers need adjustment. Your math is off by a factor of 3. My math is never...
Bell looked at the equations.
You're right. I usually am. Insufferable little... Boys?
Hale interrupted. Both brothers turned to her, looking like teenagers caught fighting.
Simon, a word?
They walked to the observation port overlooking the nebula. For a moment, they stood in silence, watching the clouds drift and swirl.
He's right, you know, Simon said. We don't have another choice. I spent my whole life believing in the better angels of our nature. First contact was supposed to be about understanding, communication, building bridges. It still is, Hale said. Just not the kind of bridge we hoped for. A bridge made of gravitational horrors and a potentially shattered world. A bridge that says we're not victims, that humanity won't go quietly into servitude.
She turned to face him.
Simon, I need you to understand something. That weapon your brother is building, it's not just about destruction. It's about making them see us as equals. Right now, they see us as animals to be collared. After Grix, they'll see us as a species to be negotiated with. Or a threat to be eliminated. Possibly. But that's a risk we have to take.
She put a hand on his shoulder.
Your conscience, your hesitation, your moral center, that's what makes us worth saving. Don't lose it, but don't let it paralyze you either.
Simon gave a slow nod.
I'll help him finish it. But Captain, when this is over, if we survive, someone needs to answer for what we're about to do. That someone is me, Hale said. This is my decision, my responsibility. The crew is following orders. The blood is on my hands. That's not how responsibility works. It is on my ship.
Day 10 brought a new crisis. They needed one final component, a specific type of focusing array the Scrike used in their long-range communication systems. It was the only thing Bell could find that could channel the massive energies involved. The only source within range was a Scrike research station.
It's too risky.
Akio's voice was flat during the briefing.
This isn't some automated mining platform. It's a crewed facility with military escorts.
We don't have a choice, Bell countered, gesturing at a schematic. Without that array to regulate the energy pulses, the weapon tears itself apart on firing. We might crack Grixis' crust, but we'll vaporize ourselves in the process.
Some would call that justice, Simon muttered.
Some aren't here, Nash shot back. Captain, I can get us in. Their patrol patterns have a gap, 19 minutes every 6 hours when they rotate shifts. 19 minutes to infiltrate a research station, steal a component, and escape? 18. I need 1 minute for approach.
Hale looked around the table. Her crew was exhausted, running on stimulants and the grim set of their jaws. They'd been hiding in this nebula for 10 days, conducting raids, building a weapon that shouldn't exist, becoming something they'd never wanted to be.
We go in stealth, she decided. Minimal signature, no active sensors. Nash flies us in. Akio leads a strike team. Everyone else maintains ship readiness for immediate departure.
Captain,
Odin interjected.
I should note that their encryption methods have increased in complexity. They're learning from our previous infiltrations.
Can you still crack them?
Given time, yes, but not in 18 minutes.
Then we go in blind.
She stood.
Prep for launch in 2 hours. Dismissed.
As the crew dispersed, she caught Akio's arm.
Sergeant, a moment.
He waited, patient as always.
This raid, if it goes wrong, if you're captured...
We won't be, he said.
But if you are...
We won't be. His dark eyes met hers. I understand the stakes, Captain. My team understands. We'll get your array.
Akio?
With respect, Captain.
His voice remained level, but she heard the steel beneath.
Every person on this ship knows what we're fighting for. We've all made our peace with the necessary evils. Let us do our jobs.
She gave a slow nod.
Bring them home, Sergeant.
Always do.
The approach was flawless. Nash guided them through the sensor gaps without hesitation, his movements economical and sure, using the station's own bulk to mask their approach. They docked at a maintenance port, the magnetic seals engaging with barely a whisper. Akio's team, 4 volunteers who'd trained together since Earth, moved like ghosts through the station corridors. Hale watched their helmet feeds from the bridge, her knuckles white as she gripped the command chair.
Array located.
Akio's voice whispered through comms.
Resistance minimal.
Too minimal, Hale thought, but said nothing. They were loading the focusing array, a component that seemed to hold starlight within its core, refracting light in ways that defied geometry, when the trap sprung.
Movement!
One of Akio's team shouted.
Strike soldiers! Full combat deployment!
On the feeds, Hale saw them. Dozens of Scrike warriors in powered armor, moving to cut off every escape route.
It's an ambush,
Simon breathed.
They were waiting.
Nash, emergency breakaway!
Hale commanded.
Negative!
Nash's hands moved across his controls.
They've locked our docking clamps. I need 3 minutes to override. We don't have 3 minutes.
She turned to the comm.
Akio, status.
The sergeant's voice was calm despite the plasma fire lighting up his feed.
Array secured. Path to ship blocked. Requesting alternative extraction.
Hale's mind raced. Then...
Bell, can you trigger a fold rupture? What? Captain, that's insane! Can you?
A pause.
Maybe. A micro-jump. It would be unstable. A chaotic tunnel at best. Do it. Create a rupture between their position and our cargo bay. Captain, I can't guarantee where it leads. They could end up in the hull in space. Akio,
Hale called.
drop a beacon and prepare for fold extraction. It won't be a smooth ride.
Copy.
On the screen, she watched Akio's team form a defensive circle, their limited weapons holding off the Scrike forces. One of his people took a plasma bolt to the shoulder, stumbling but maintaining position.
Bell, charge in 20 seconds.
The Scrike pressed closer. Another team member fell.
10 seconds. Nash, the moment they're aboard, already on a cap. Rupture for him in. Now!
Reality twisted. The cargo bay cameras showed space tearing open, spitting out Akio's team amid a tangle of flailing armored Scrike soldiers who had been standing too close. The bay erupted in close quarters combat. Akio moved with deadly purpose, his combat knife finding the unarmored joint beneath the Scrike's jaw. His team responded, each movement trained and lethal, disabling the Scrike with targeted shots to their armor's joints. In 12 seconds, it was over.
Bay secure,
Akio reported, breathing hard.
2 wounded, none critical.
Nash, and we're gone.
The Tin Hill tore free from the station, docking clamps shearing off as Nash overloaded them. Behind them, Scrike ships powered up, but they were already diving back into the nebula's depths.
Did we get it?
Hale asked. Akio held up the array, its light casting shifting patterns across the cargo bay.
Mission accomplished. Lord Admiral Kantis stood on his bridge, studying the latest reports with growing irritation. The primitive ship had been a ghost for 12 days, striking at will, vanishing into that cursed nebula. "They're scavengers," he said to his assembled commanders. "Stealing scraps, running like cowards." "Effective cowards," Sub-Commander Talon noted, gesturing at the damage assessments. "They've disrupted operations across the sector." "Temporarily." Kantis dismissed the concern. "Once we've traced their origin point, their entire species will pay for these insults."
Lord Admiral,
his science officer interrupted.
"We're receiving a transmission. It's them."
Kantis straightened. "Put it through." The human captain appeared on screen, looking haggard but unbowed. Behind her, Kantis could see the primitive bridge, all exposed conduits and manual controls. How had such creatures achieved FTL?
"Lord Admiral Kantis,"
she began without preamble.
"I'll be brief. We have turned our drive into a weapon. Your planet Grix has been selected as a demonstration target. You have 1 hour to evacuate any personnel and surrender."
For a moment, the bridge was silent. Then, Kantis laughed, a sound his crew had heard often lately. "A planet killer. Your ship can barely maintain structural integrity, and you claim to have a planet killer."
1 hour, Lord Admiral.
"Captain Hale, was it? I've been patient with your species' antics, but this fantasy has gone far enough. Grix is a lifeless rock. Even if you had such a weapon, destroying it would accomplish nothing." He saw her jaw set, her posture straighten as if bracing against a physical blow. Her voice, when she spoke, was level and cold.
"Then you have nothing to lose by evacuating it."
"I have my dignity. The Scrike Imperium does not negotiate with delusional scrappers." He leaned forward. "Your ship's power output is barely sufficient to run your life support. My scientists have confirmed you're incapable of generating the energy needed. Did you really think we'd fall for such a transparent bluff?"
1 hour,
she repeated, and cut the channel. Kantis turned to his bridge crew, satisfied to see them sharing his amusement. "Lord Admiral," his tactical officer ventured, "should we alert the Grix installations?" "What installations?" Kantis kept his voice carefully neutral. The research on Grix was his pet project, officially sanctioned but deeply controversial. If High Command learned he'd been siphoning resources for it and then lost it... "Of course, sir. The mining drones." "They're automated. Acceptable losses if these upstarts want to waste their last surprise on rocks and machinery." He moved to his command throne. "All ships converge on the nebula. When they emerge to attack Grix, we take them. Disable their engines. I want that drive technology intact."
"Sir,"
Talon spoke.
"what if they're not bluffing?
"Their power readings."
Could be masked. They've proven resourceful."
Kantis turned on her, his hands gripping the arms of his throne until the metal groaned. "Are you questioning my judgment, Sub-Commander?"
"No, Lord Admiral."
"Good, because mathematics doesn't lie. Their reactor is a simple fusion design, barely Class 3 efficiency. Even if they converted their entire mass to energy, they couldn't crack a moon, let alone a planet." He settled into his throne. "When this is over, we'll dissect their ship rivet by rivet. Their audacity has earned them that honor." The Ten Hill emerged from the nebula like a bat out of hell, every remaining engine pushed beyond redline. On the bridge, Hale gripped her command chair as Nash pushed their broken bird toward Grix. "Strike fleet converging," Akio reported with his typical understatement. 18 ships. "They're hailing us," Simon added.
Ignore them. Time to firing position?
8 minutes,
Nash said through gritted teeth.
if we don't shake apart first.
The ship groaned around them, structural members stressed beyond all tolerance. In the forward cargo bay, now a weapon emplacement built from cannibalized ship parts, Bell and his team made final adjustments to their doomsday device.
"Captain,
Bell's voice came over the comm, strained.
weapon is charging. We're getting a massive gravimetric distortion feedback. It seems to be interfering with strike targeting systems."
Odin, confirm.
Confirmed. Their plasma cannons are unable to achieve a stable lock. They are falling back on ion cannons that spray energy, but lack the focus to pierce hulls reliably, and tractor beams.
They want us alive.
She almost smiled.
They still don't believe we can do it.
The first ion cannon shots splashed across their hull, systems fritzing and recovering. A tractor beam caught them, but Nash rolled the ship, using their momentum to break free.
4 minutes to position.
More tractor beams, more ion fire. The Tin Hill pushed through it all, a wounded animal making its last charge. Systems failed and rerouted, hull plates tore free, but still they advanced.
2 minutes. Bell, status?
Charging sequence initiated, Captain. Once I start this, we can't stop it. The containment field will collapse in 40 seconds whether we fire or not.
Understood. 1 minute.
On the main screen, Grix grew larger, a brown, scarred world. Lifeless, according to the public record, but Hale thought of Simon's encrypted fragments, of the personnel-supported initiative. She was betting Cantus valued his secret project too much to admit it existed, and he'd risk his people before his career.
In position. All ships, this is Captain Hale. This is your final warning. Break off your attack.
Cantus appeared on screen, his dark eyes glittering with anger. "Enough! Surrender now, and I might let some of your crew live as specimens." Hale turned to Akio.
Target locked?
Locked. She looked back at Cantus.
You should have listened. Bell, fire.
Firing!
For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, space seemed to ripple outward from the Tin Hill's nose. The fabric of reality twisted, and a lance of focused gravitational distortion shot toward Grix. It struck the planet's dead center. For 3 heartbeats, Grix held together. Then the gravitational wave propagated through its core, finding every weakness, every fracture, every flaw in its structure. The planet shuddered, cracks spreading across its surface like a broken windshield. And then it split. Not exploded, split. The two halves drifted apart with surreal slowness, revealing the molten core, now cooling in the vacuum. Continental plates the size of Earth's nations tumbled free. The atmosphere, what little there was, vented into space in gossamer wisps. On every Scrike bridge, silence reigned. Cantus stood frozen at his command throne, his hands hanging limp. On his tactical display, alerts screamed about the loss of Installation 9, his controversial research initiative, his legacy, his path to power, destroyed in an instant. "It can't be," he whispered.
Lord Admiral.
Talon's voice shook.
They...
It defies physics!
Cantus roared, slamming his fists into his throne.
Their power readings, the mathematics, all our models showed it could not be done!
But the broken planet drifting before them suggested otherwise. On the Ten Hill, alarms screamed. The weapons firing had overloaded every system, blown out half of their power grid, and reduced their salvaged fold drive components to molten slag. They were dead in space, running on batteries and backup life support.
Status?
Hale asked, her voice steady despite the chaos.
Drive core is gone,
Bell reported, exhaustion clear in his voice.
We've got maybe 6 hours of life support on batteries.
Hull integrity is at 18%,
Nash added, wiping sweat from his brow with a trembling hand.
We're venting atmosphere in 12 locations. Weapons?
Akio shook his head. All systems offline. They were defenseless, dying. But on the screen, the Scrike fleet hung motionless, paralyzed by what they'd witnessed.
Simon,
Hale said, her voice low.
Any signs of life from the planet?
He ran scan after scan, his face pale with the weight of potential genocide. After the longest minute of Hale's life, he looked up. No life signs, no escape pods. It really was just machines. His voice cracked. We didn't kill anyone. A collective breath escaped the bridge crew. Hale saw Bell lean against a console in engineering, his face buried in his hands. They'd won, but the margin between victory and mass murder had been razor thin. They're hailing us, Simon reported.
Put them through.
Cantus appeared again, but the arrogant Lord Admiral was gone. In his place stood a creature who'd just watched his career, his life, shatter like the planet before him. His dark eyes darted to something off-screen. Captain, his voice was hollow. We need to discuss terms.
Yes,
Hale agreed.
we do.
Your weapon. How many more times can you fire it? Behind her, Bell made a cutting gesture. 0. They both knew it, but Cantus didn't.
Enough,
Hale said. I see. Cantus's hands twitched, a nervous gesture she'd never seen from him before. Your terms.
Simple. You will provide us with supplies and navigation data to return home. You will destroy all records of our location and prevent any pursuit. In exchange, we don't demonstrate our weapon on an inhabited world.
The Imperium doesn't negotiate with... He stopped, his hands clenching. The High Command will demand answers about Grix.
That sounds like your problem.
A long silence. On the Scrike bridge behind Cantus, Hale could see his officers exchanging glances. They knew something had just changed. The steel can they'd laughed at had just rendered their entire fleet impotent. Your terms are acceptable, Cantus said, each word seemingly dragged from him. But understand this, human. You've made an enemy of the Scrike Imperium. We do not forget.
Neither do we,
Hale replied.
and now you know what that means.
She cut the channel.
I believe this is what humans call a Mexican standoff,
Odin observed.
Not quite.
Hale said.
They blinked first.
Captain. Simon turned from his console. They're transmitting navigation data and supply manifests. They're doing it.
Of course they are.
She stood, looking at her battered, exhausted, victorious crew.
They just learned that we don't need the biggest stick in the galaxy. We just need the will to use the one we have in ways they never imagined.
Think they'll put that in the history books. Humans,
too stubborn to know when they're supposed to lose.
I prefer innovative,
Bell called over comms.
though criminally insane also works.
We're not criminals, Simon said, his voice low. We're just survivors. Hale nodded.
And now we're going home. Nash, as soon as those supplies are aboard, set course for Earth. Best possible speed.
She looked back at the view screen, where Grix's halves continued their slow drift apart. In the distance, Skrike's ships moved to comply with her demands, the predators suddenly wary of their prey.
Odin,
She said,
begin composing our report to Earth Command. Full details, nothing held back.
Shall I include your recommendation for court-martial?
She almost smiled.
That's not my call, but yes, include everything. Let history judge us.
History is written by the victors, Captain.
Then we'd better make sure we remain the victors.